He is ruthless, determined, and deadly. He is one of the greatest military tacticians the world has ever known. A brilliant strategist, he leads men who gladly kill for him and die for him. All for the greater glory of Greece. He is Alexander the Great. In the 4th century BC, Alexander rules more than half the known world, but it's not enough. He wants more. Hungry to expand his empire, Alexander looks forward to his newest conquest, India. All that's preventing the Greek leader are 2 immense rivers and 750,000 Indian soldiers. .331 BC, the Battle of Arbela. Nearly 50,000 Greeks fight their longtime enemy, the Persians. For hundreds of years, these 2 superpowers have spilled each other's blood. The Greeks are outnumbered 2 to 1. But on this October day, they emerge victorious and change the course of history. Credited to the tactical brilliance of the 25-year-old commander, Alexander the Great. It's his time now.
Alexander has this kind of larger-than-life aura about him. He's handsome with a muscular build, and he's extremely charismatic.
Ready for battle.
The elephant was a highly developed instrument of war in the Indian Army. It took about 10 years to train an elephant, and they were exceedingly well trained. They responded to name calls, they responded to whistles, and they fought.
So, if we imagine what's going on now, you have Porus on the far eastern side of the Hydaspes River, ready to oppose Alexander's crossing. On the western bank, you have Alexander's army. And in between flows a fairly wide, fairly deep, and fairly rapid Hydaspes River.
Alexander is faced with a great challenge: how to get his 32,000-man army across the raging river while maintaining the critical element of surprise.
But how? If he just crosses right under Porus's nose, his troops are going to be sitting ducks. Indian army will easily pick them off with their arrows midstream or when they try to reach the other side. So Alexander needs a tactical plan. And he puts into motion what will be an unbelievable game of cat and mouse with Porus.
When in doubt, deceive and dissemble. And he begins by the simple act of ordering up grain from his logistics supply lines. Grain shipments begin to arrive. And the reason for this is psychological.
Some soldiers use goatskin bags filled with straw to stay afloat.
Horses would either swim after you or being led after you by their reins. And it's at night. And so it's a night crossing of a river. And it's a pretty difficult maneuver. Worse, it starts to rain. And a wind starts to blow. There's a tremendous thunderstorm going on, which is really to Alexander's advantage because it keeps the noise down and it keeps Porus's pickets under cover.
Alexander's certain he's chosen his crossing point wisely. But what he thinks is the far bank of the river is actually an island that bisects the river.
He crosses the river, gains the island, crosses the island in a narrow defile where he can hide his troops from Porus, and discovers to his horror that's not the other bank. It's not the far bank, it's just another island.
Hidden behind the first island, they discover another island. The Greeks still have 2 more crossings ahead of them, and time is running out.
Alexander has made one of the few tactical errors of his career here. When he scouted the crossing point, he didn't send swimmers all the way across. He just saw an island and the far bank behind it. Turned out that what he saw was not the far bank, but simply another island.
So now, God, what are we going to do? It's too deep. So we go up and down the island until they find a place to cross where the water is chest deep. And they cross chest deep water, swimming, dragging their equipment to another island, and then finally to another island. But by dawn, you know, cold, hungry, and
1300 BC, two great empires battle for regional dominance. A powerful people called the Hittites and the mighty Egyptians. This is the story of Ramses, a brash young pharaoh whose bold military tactics and strategies put his life and his empire in grave danger. The fate of Egypt and the entire Middle East hangs in the balance when the two forces collide at the Battle of Kadesh, a battle of deception, treachery, and raging chariots. At Kadesh, 17,000 Hittites face off against 20,000 Egyptians. Both forces fight to expand their borders and ultimately control the Middle East.
the Battle of Kadesh represents one of the most important battles in antiquity. It represents a clash of major empires, the Hittite Empire and the Egyptian Empire, in a crucial zone of military operations around Kadesh, which is in modern.
On the narrow plain of Marathon in eastern Greece, a battle rages that will alter the course of Western civilization. On one side, the army of the Persian Empire, the most powerful fighting force in the world. On the other side, the army of Athens, half its size, led by the famed Greek general Miltiades. This is a battle of military brilliance in the face of overwhelming odds. A battle for the future of Greece and for the supremacy of the ancient world. Two civilizations are about to collide. East meets West on the plains of Marathon. Death comes swiftly. For 6 days, a brutal attack by a faceless invader stains the soil red. Those not butchered are enslaved. The aggressors are the heavy infantry of the mighty Persian Empire. They are called immortals. The victims are residents of the island of Euboea in the Greek city of Eretria. 600 Persian warships had set sail on the Aegean Sea and swallowed every Greek island in their path. But Euboea is not their final destination. They're heading to Athens. The goal, total destruction.
They moved across, there's an island chain across the eastern Mediterranean in an island-hopping campaign, much like the United States did during World War II.
But so far, the Athenians have survived a massive Persian missile attack. And now they are holding fast against the Persian light infantry. General Miltiades has brilliantly positioned his defensive force. The Greek heavy infantry phalanxes are jammed in a narrow opening between the mountains, blocking the path to Athens.
The Persians had chosen the battlefield, okay, by landing at Marathon, but the Athenians had chosen the terrain by using it to